A few months ago, I woke up in the morning on a Sunday morning and I decided I was not going to wear makeup that day. Now, maybe this may be normal for some, but for me, I have been wearing makeup since middle school. And while I don't wear a ton of it, I don't look completely different with makeup. I look different enough to where when I don't wear makeup, I'm like, wait, who is this? What are these? I had freckles. Like, whoa, wait, what are these blemishes, these smile lines, and I notice these things that society views as imperfections. So that day when I decided to not wear makeup, I was going to church. So I went to church and I was painfully um, just struck by the fact that I had an unhealthy mindset around the way I looked. I was fearful that people were judging me because I wasn't wearing makeup, or I was fearful that I looked like super young because I wasn't wearing makeup. And this got me thinking now after this point within the past few months of how damaging it can be to have these beauty standards that are only really achieved through Photoshop and perfect lighting and spending hours on getting ready in the morning just to take it off at night. And that's really what I wanted to talk about today. I wanted to talk about the effects of, our culture with using makeup and trying to change our looks and um really what that is doing to us and what we can do to make sure that we aren't putting our worth in our appearance, because anytime I start putting my worth in my appearance, things just start going downhill. So that's what I wanted to talk about today. But to give a little background of my story, like I said, I've been wearing makeup since middle school. And I remember I would spend a long time in the morning getting ready. I would get on the bus for school. This was seventh grade. I would get on the bus and I'd be on the bus making sure my makeup looked good and my phone camera. And then I remember going to school, and right before anyone saw me, I would go straight to the bathroom, make sure my makeup still looked good because, it could have changed by the time I got off the bus and then walked to the bathroom. And then I would go to class and I'd be constantly worrying about my appearance. I remember I would always pinch my cheeks because I always thought I looked very like washed out. And so I would try to get some color to my face and I would pinch my cheeks in class because I was worried that my blush had worn off from earlier. I would go to the bathroom between my class periods just to make sure my face looked okay. And this was so damaging because seventh, eighth, and ninth grade, I was just held in this fear of what other people thought of me and what I thought of myself. Really, I was scared about how I thought about myself. And so I've definitely come a long way. I don't have that view of, my body and don't put that immense value in my looks. A few years ago, if you would have said that I would do a podcast episode without makeup, I would be like, no, you're crazy. But here I am. And so I've definitely come a long way, but there's still habits that I've noticed are coming up of, oh, I look at myself in the mirror a lot throughout the day. Is that really healthy? Even if I'm not maybe directly putting myself down, is it conditioning me to then compare myself to the people I see on social media later that day? You see what I mean? Maybe you don't go to the mirror with the intention of hating on yourself, but is checking yourself multiple times a day in the mirror, making your brain conditioned to the fact that, oh, my looks are important. I have to make sure I look good all the time. You see what I mean there? And so I've been really looking at these little things that I do and seeing, wait a minute, is this healthy? Now, to start with, I don't think makeup is a horrible thing, right? I love doing it in the morning. I think that it can sometimes make you look more professional or, tie an outfit together or whatever it may be. But I don't think that it should be the crutch that it is, that it seems that it is in our society. It seems like, I go on Instagram and it's like, oh, you have under eye bags. Use this like cream to get rid of it and cover it up with this makeup. And oh, your eyebrows are too light. Okay, you have to darken them because we don't want to not be able to see your eyebrows. That would be a crime, and that is just so damaging, right? So my view of makeup now is just this little bonus thing, but I should be okay with going to church without makeup sometimes, or going, out without makeup, right? I feel like it's just been this crutch for me at least, and maybe for you as well. And so I would really just ask yourself, when you're putting makeup on, why are you doing this? What is the reason behind it? And as I've grown in my relationship with God, I've been able to really understand why I do the things I do. Like, I'll be thinking like, "Oh, I'm just, checking in the mirror because I just want to make sure I don't have like anything stuck in my teeth or something." And then God kind of reveals to me and kind of nudges me. And so then when I'm wondering why I'm comparing myself to other people throughout the day, I'm like, oh, wait a minute. It's because I keep conditioning myself to focus on my appearance more than anything else. So that's been really eye opening for me. And I want to talk about some of the things that I've been doing to make sure that my looks don't overtake me. It says in 1 Samuel 16:7, it says that the Lord does not judge the appearance, but he looks at the heart. So why are you doing the things that you do? And so what I've been doing lately is really watching what I'm consuming. And if you struggle with insecurity or even focusing too much on your looks, take a look at the stuff you are consuming. Are you watching, accounts or following people who are constantly getting new makeup products, constantly placing a high importance on their looks, trying to sell you the new makeup product or whatever it may be? Like, what is the content that you are consuming? And then most importantly, what are you thinking about the content that you are consuming? Because there might be a really good like moisturizer, right? Or like lip balm or whatever it may be that this girl is talking about. But while I'm watching her content, am I saying, "Oh, I wish my face looked like her. Like, oh, I'm going to get this moisturizer because I want to look like her. I want my face to be, like look better." And like, where's my heart at? Or is it saying like, "Oh, this looks like a cool product. Like, let me try this out." So when you're watching content, when you're consuming things, even when you are socializing with people, what are you thinking about as you are doing that? Where is your heart at? And then another thing is watching the language that comes out of my mouth. When I was really struggling with my confidence, and when I mean really struggling, I mean sometimes I would not even leave the house because I was so scared of how I looked and how people would portray me. And it sounds so silly to think about, like how I literally would not leave the house. I would beg my mom to stay home from school just because I was insecure of the way I looked. And not undermining that, because there was definitely those heart beliefs that were deeply rooted, right? And really only the Lord has been able to help me heal from that. And so I would really say with this, we'll go more into inviting God into this later. But when I say the language that comes out of your mouth, I remember I would be staying home from school because I just, thought I looked horrible, and I would say that I was sick that day and whatever it may be. And I would look in the mirror and I would speak such negativity over myself. Like, I don't even want to say the things that I said, but I look back at my journals now, and I think when I was like 12 years old, I wrote a list of all the things I wanted to change about myself. And then it kind of shifted as the years went on to being kind of prideful in the way I looked. And so anytime I would go to my mirror, I would try to hype myself up. And I was placing too much importance on my looks, not in a negative way, in a positive way, but I didn't really grasp the concept that this was still bad because it was me still placing my worth in my looks. And so throughout the day, I would really encourage you to ask yourself, what is the language that you're using when you're speaking about your body, when you're speaking about other people? Are you really, maybe you're really complimenting a friend on her looks, right? But you're over hyping her up and placing this really strong importance on her appearance, almost putting yourself down in the process. And, I know I've been there where I'm like, oh, you look so good. Like, I wish I looked like that, and kind of undermining myself while I'm complimenting this girl. But yeah, so number two, be aware of the language that you're using around yourself, because even if you think it doesn't matter, your brain is hearing that and internalizing it. And now, another thing, the third thing I would say is, I mentioned this earlier, but to stop body checking. And my gosh, this is this is difficult because, like I said, I recently haven't been doing it out of hatred or, pridefulness. I just do it out of habit. Anytime I see a mirror, I'm just checking myself because it's there. And like I said, this is just not helpful if you are someone who has a history of placing importance on looks, a history of being really insecure with how you look. This is just not healthy, even if it's done, in a good way. And when I say body checking in the mirror, this could also be taking a lot of pictures of yourself. I remember taking hundreds and hundreds of pictures of myself, like having my friends do that for me. And I would go through them all and I'd be like, oh, that looks bad. Oh, that looks bad. That. And now the mindset that I've adopted around pictures, anytime I get my picture taken with a friend, is okay, maybe, my face looked not like it usually does in that picture, but does this really matter? Say my friend decides to post this on Instagram. Is anyone really going to think, oh my gosh, look at Adriana, look at her face, what happened? And if they do, why should I care? Like, why is that a thing to be feared? Why do I fear man instead of fearing God? And so that's the fourth thing I wanted to mention: fearing God instead of fearing man. Wherever you are on your, faith journey and your relationship with God, if you have this fear of God, by that I mean this reverent fear of knowing God is sovereign, God has created me. He knows everything that is going to happen. He knows everything that has happened to me in the past, and he can use everything for his good. Fearing God in that way instead of fearing man and thinking, oh, they're going to think that I look tired today because I'm not wearing makeup. Or maybe they're going to ask me, like, why I have these under eye bags and, like, why, oh, I look like I just didn't sleep a wink. Why am I fearing that? And so that's something that I am continuously asking myself. Are we trying to impress man? And when I say man, I don't mean like just men. I'm just saying like the human race, right? Like fear of of humans, men and women, fear of what they might think. So that's what I mean when I say that. But it can certainly come from, I know early on, even starting in middle school, I did wear makeup because I wanted validation from guys. So I think that is also something that, while I don't struggle with that now, I definitely did. And if you do struggle with that now, what I would just encourage you is just keep shifting that focus to, what does God say about me? What does God say about me? And as I've developed my relationship with God, I notice whenever I'm getting too in my head about my looks, I feel God nudging me and saying, hey, does that really matter? Like, does that really matter? I did not put you on this earth to be obsessed over your body. I didn't put you on this earth to be obsessive about exercise. I didn't put you on this earth to worry so much about what your body looks like that you don't even think about how you are treating other people. You're worried more about the outward appearance instead of thinking about what's in your heart. I didn't put you on this earth to be obsessed. And something that I will say has definitely taken me from a point of being so insecure about my body to where I didn't even want to be on camera to now being able to record this podcast episode and share it for, who knows how many people to see. But there was something that has shifted that is the things that matter more in life. Say you get to the end of your life and, maybe you look back and chances are you're not going to say, wow, I really wish I looked better. And I'm not talking about health here. Yes, be good stewards of your health, take care of your body. But what I'm talking about is you're not going to get to the end of your life and be like, wow, I wish I obsessed more over my looks so that other people thought I looked better. Like, no, that is not what you're going to think about. Early on, first started posting content on social media and I'd be worried about my appearance. That worry would completely go away when I would receive a message from someone saying how much my encouraging words or what I was doing in my life inspired and encouraged and helped them. Like that would completely go away when I focused my mind on the bigger picture here, the bigger picture that is not my body. And so, with that being said, I really hope this can leave you with some takeaways of how to not make your looks this, top priority. It's not easy in our world today of social media and comparing ourselves to others. And while it can be really encouraging to see how others live their lives, if we have the constant need to compare ourselves and to compare our looks, that's not healthy. And so I think one last thing I wanted to mention was bringing the Lord into this, bringing him, not keeping him in this compartment of, yeah, like when I wake up, I'm going to read the Bible and then I'll go on with my day, but instead bring him throughout the day. Of course, he's always with us, but making yourself aware of the fact that he's always with you. Whenever you're getting down on yourself about, maybe how you looked in that picture, or, you don't look like that model, or you don't look like that influencer, just reminding yourself of what God would say. And maybe you do feel a little nudge from the Holy Spirit of, a word that he is giving you, or, something that he's saying. And I will definitely say the more I'm growing my relationship with God, the more I can hear God speak to me. In that still small voice in my inside, which is the Holy Spirit. So anyway, with that being said, I really hope this could give you some takeaways to go into the week with, and just really think about, am I placing too much importance on my appearance? Am I letting the beauty standards of today's world and the, obsession with changing our bodies, whether that's surgery or a lot of makeup or something that is like semi-permanent or, temporary, am I letting those things take over to where I'm not seeing what truly matters? Where is your heart with that? So anyway, with that being said, I thank you so much for listening. And if you did like today's episode, make sure to subscribe on YouTube, follow the podcast, and I hope that we can continue to make sure we are not placing our value into our looks and instead focusing on what truly matters on this earth with the little time that we do have. But yeah, thank you so much for listening, and I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful week. I'll talk to you soon.